Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about painting today, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with it or where it's going to go, so good luck. But first I want to mention Patreon. As you've probably seen on my YouTube channel, on Studio 120, I have an account with Patreon. I'm trying to upgrade the equipment that we have. Right now we're working off an iPad that a friend sent me, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful. But it doesn't have the capacity to do live interaction. I can't do live streaming on it. We're very limited on what we can do, and the picture quality is not what we could have. So I'm appealing to you as a Studio 120 watcher to go on Patreon and and donate $1 a month. Not $1 a month, wait a minute, $5 a month. We have $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, $30, $35, and on up. And the rewards that you get really vary. I have one sticker up right now. I'm trying desperately to apply more, and that's at $5 a month. We have t-shirts, we have posters, but I'm offering things like paintings, which can be paid for over a 3-month period on Patreon. Live interactions, mentoring, all kinds of different things. And I'll be adding to it, but right now I'm appealing to people so that we can do more with this channel and make it a better experience for everyone. Me would be nice, and just anyone who hits on this. I would like to reach teachers, or be interacting with teachers, interacting with people I'm mentoring online a little bit better in my sweltering hot little studio here out in the garage. Anyway, let's move on to painting, but if you would please go on Patreon, at least check the merchandise out, oh my god, I'm so hot I can't even think. I'd like a new air conditioner, one that actually works. But go on Patreon, check it out, check my page out. You can actually just donate money with no rewards at all. You can be a patron of mine at $5 a month and just say, here, thank you for keeping me going. Pat myself on the back. Thank you for explaining art to me. Aren't I wonderful? Thank you for being a studio mate in another state. All right, let's move on. So I really wanted to talk a little bit about painting again, because I haven't talked about it in a long time. The act of painting for me is something I'm completely driven to do. I cannot stop. And I was actually chatting with a friend of mine, excuse me while I pat myself down. I actually sent a letter to a friend of mine. She's gone on Patreon, and I needed to explain something to her. She was someone who had a very big job in a city that I loved, and she was in the arts, and she actually accomplished a lot in her position. I mean, stuff that you would know about. Stuff you would know about and that was in the news, she was able to accomplish. And when she was in the middle of this decade-long job, I actually got pretty resentful because, you know, I kept trying to kind of, hey, would you give me a leg up? Well, in the decade that she had this job, this position, and was really big in the art world in this city, she didn't. And I got very resentful of it. I got very, very angry, and because we were friends. And so I just stopped kind of interacting with her. She left the job. It really was, she did a lot. She did a lot for the city. Anyway, and this one particular venue. But anyway, she went on Patreon and she actually donated. She's donated a bit. She's donated quite a bit. And, you know, done a monthly contribution, which is lovely, which is really, really lovely. So I sent her a note because I needed to get it off my chest. And I didn't say resentful, but I should have, you know, explaining that I had been disappointed and angry the last 15 years or so, 20 years, come to think of it. Because she had this position, and I'd always hoped that she would help give me a leg up in the art world, and did not. But I've come to realize, and she's actually the reason, she never knew this, but she is the reason that I've done my solo shows in New York, the reason my work has improved, the reason I do this channel, the reason I do anything in art is actually because of her, because I realized over time I wasn't good enough. I really wasn't good enough. Do I have a sweat thing yet? Yep. I had no intent. I was, back when I was hoping, had my fingers crossed that I could get a leg up, I had no intent. I had minimal talent. I was painting mediocre images that had nothing behind them, or had very, very little behind them. They didn't carry weight. They didn't have strength. They didn't say a lot. They were just, as one of my old teachers said, pretty pictures. And when my resentment started to rise, I left my hometown and I moved to New Bedford, Mass. And the first thing I did was I bought this. I went to Michael's and had a 50% off coupon, and yay coupons, bought, I think it was 9 or 12 feet, probably 9 feet worth of canvas, stretched it out in the middle of this apartment. I just moved in and started to get to work. And that opened me up. It's an abstract, it's called Drowning Lily. It's an abstract, it's a little bit of a story, without being, you know, a super story. And that started to open my soul up, my heart up, and my mind up to creating work that was more than just two people standing, or a man holding a fish. Oh, you know, a white man holding a fish from an antique photograph, which I still am obsessed with. Still obsessed with antique photographs. But I started doing things that really had weight. And it was chasing this white whale. I was driven to chase this white whale. I hate to equate my friend with a white whale, but you know, her vision of me and her vision, or what I thought, what I imagined was her vision of my work, was my white whale, really. And I chased that, and I'm still chasing it to this day. I want to be the painter that people know. I want to be the Yayoi Kusama of my generation. That's a big want. But I'm just going to keep chasing it and trying to prove myself to this image I have of my friend, who in my mind was saying, you need to work harder. So I feel my paintings have improved. I try not to be resentful that I am not the Yayoi Kusama of YouTube or of my generation, but I just keep working towards it. I know my abilities now. I know my strengths. I stay away from the weaknesses. And as we keep saying in these videos, I just keep working, like you, regardless of my financial situation or my supplies. We just keep going. So the painting behind me is one I'm photographing for Patreon. But I wanted to say, what I wanted to say is, if you're at that point where I was, where it's like, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to tap dance any faster. Well, I still don't. What I do is I submerge my core in an intent or an idea. I am fully engulfed by an intent and an idea. This is a painting I started in Virginia. I actually finished here in Sarasota. There's a second panel that goes with it. You've seen it before. But this is called Making a Way Out of No Way. When I lived in Virginia, I saw these gigantic Trump signs everywhere and looked around and realized I saw very few black and brown faces. And all these, you know, there were white supremacists from Fredericksburg all the way out to where I went and beyond. So white supremacists, KKK members marching the streets in Fredericksburg, proudly wearing their garments, stopping traffic, harassing people, and it pissed me off. It pissed me off. It engulfed me. And so I started this 2-panel painting, and someone who I was staying with then said, "What are you calling it?" And I said, "Oh, explaining black history to white people." That's what I called it, explaining white history to black people, and she found it very insulting. But I don't care. I don't care what anyone thinks, good or bad, except for my friend. I don't care what anyone thinks, because they're coming at it from their own experience, their own monsters. I filled myself with the frustration and the rage that we're seeing on the streets now. Ooh, it's pouring out. We have another storm. And what I was trying to do was take it in a condensed manner from slavery right up through time to a time I wanted to see where people were marching in the streets, and that's where we are right now. Another friend of mine said, "You saw this coming. You saw today coming." I didn't. It was my anger, my frustration, my need to paint something of purpose, but just not a pretty picture, just a pretty picture of it. But the feel, ooh, hello. We're basically getting a hurricane once a day here in Sarasota, and I guess it's hurricane hour now. But the feeling of this has to stop. In here, in the image, it's, I think it's 10 feet long, 6 feet high. I think that's it. Within the image, or it's 4 feet, maybe it's 4 feet, I don't remember. Within the image, there are white hands everywhere. The Caucasian hand is painted in white. To me, this is whites and blues, the color of death. For me, the skin turning white is the belief that we have the power to hold you back. The death of that is what I felt. I have white hands holding black and brown hands, holding orange hands. There's a punch coming in from here. There's a hand not grabbing her hair, but just touching her hair, which is so deeply offensive to black and brown women. Deeply, deeply, deeply offensive. But then up above I have hands. In all different colors, and then up here we have a fist, a blue fist. That's a black power fist. It's the fist that protesters and marchers have used forever. And I wanted to depict it there, just one, saying this will stop. We are together. Enough is enough. Feel our strength. The other panel has more red in it because I wanted to express absolute sheer fury. It depicts what I have are tiny little bodies, and you can't see them right away, but there's tiny little bodies laying side by side. And the idea for that, excuse me, came from the layout of slave ships, where people were packed together like products, waiting to go to market to be sold. It disgusts me beyond. It disgusts me. It makes me want to vomit. That people are treated that way, treated like cattle, and then violence is committed against them, and they're told to shut up. Shut up. We've all experienced abuse, or a lot of us have experienced abuse. And the abuser does win. In fact, I'm in the middle of something right now. I understand the fury of being mentally, emotionally abused. I have been physically abused. I have had the threat, a death threat, against me recently. I understand. So we take our experiences, empathize, engulf ourselves in it, and translate it on the canvas or in clay or whatever you're working with. We have to. It doesn't have to be to this extent where you're just fury. But feeling the subject, feeling the theme of the painting or the piece of work. Feel it. Let me grab something real quick. Feel her. Find out who she is under that bow. Feel her. Let it engulf you. That is my big talk. That is my suggestion to getting from, like me, painting old men holding up fish, which says nothing, to something of more purpose. I realize this is very heavy in symbology, which I don't like to do. I prefer to express the energy of people. Heavy in symbology, heavy in allegory-ish, almost like a Diego. Diego. One of the D's, one of the Diegs, or both of them, mural. I've been in his studio, how could I not remember this? In Mexico, about the labor uprisings and all the uprisings, social injustice. He did murals. He did murals in New York about it. Pretty impressive, pretty cool, and I can't remember his name. Married to Frida Kahlo. Married to Frida. So, to me, that's his big connection. But anyway, heavy in symbolism, heavy in storytelling, a little much for me, but hopefully the feeling of everything is behind it. You can also see pink. Pink are cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C., the city that our black and brown brothers and friends and community members built. Washington, D.C. I have other pillars, white pillars, painted in the blue, representing death again. Throughout, yellow and little yellow flowers from cotton blossoms. Little yellow flowers expressing slavery, not only slavery, like I have the cotton blossoms throughout, not only representing slavery, but representing the strength of these people who were brutalized, bought and sold like cans of beans by people who only saw them as products and not as human beings. I have 16 yellow flowers in there for what I understood to be the 16 first captured, brutalized, and then sold slaves in America. Now I'm understanding there may have been 21. So I gotta look a little bit deeper. I want to be more accurate. I want to be respectful. Melanie, who's right here, Melanie is wearing cotton blossoms. On her on her other arm, I believe she has a bracelet with more cotton blossoms. Melanie is also made up of sugar cane, symbol of slavery not only in the U.S. but the Dominican Republic, I believe. Okay, somebody help me. My head's not working. But hot, very warm. What I want to get to, the bottom line is feel your subject, feel your work. Don't commit to painting pretty pictures of flowers and vases. Find that something deeper. Find that something more. And go on Patreon and support this channel. Studio 120. Beck Lane, me, would greatly appreciate it. All right, listen, that's my big chat for the day. All right, we'll do another painting session soon. But help me to get new equipment, help me to get better lighting, help me to get an air conditioner so we don't have this. Are we wet down the back yet? No. All right, that's it. Be well. If you have any questions, please write it in the comment section or go to my Facebook page, Beck Lane, one of my Facebook pages, Beck Lane, or my website, www.becklaneartist.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have, okay? Patreon, ciao.